Hello everybody and welcome to a new series on my channel entitled Tarot and Tea, in which I will be drinking copious amounts of tea, maybe more than one for every tarot card, and that means over 78 cups of tea. We'll see, I think that can be done maybe even in one day sometimes. Anyway, the tea is a side note, but a very useful side note. What I'll be looking at in this series is something that's been a love of mine and my first initial path into, I guess, probably into my adult spirituality and on my pagan path. So if you don't know, I've been working with the tarot for around about 10 years or so. I mean, I've been playing with tarot cards and messing about, you know, for before that, probably since maybe looking towards the 12, 13 years. But professionally, I've been working as a tarot reader since 2004. The date of recording this is 2013, I did forget for a second. So the tarot was never a path I particularly chose for a career. I've always been interested, and I bought my first deck of tarot cards when I was probably about 18 years old as a gift, and I found them fascinating. I did think, how on earth am I going to remember the meanings for all of these? It was like, it was quite a ridiculous concept, but I enjoyed playing with them, and I enjoyed having a go. And when I was at university, people would come around for readings, but I really was flapping. I really didn't know what I was doing. And yeah, I've collected cards, and they seem to be drawn towards me. This deck of cards here, which you'll see a lot in this set of videos, is a Thoth deck. This is pretty much, even though I collect decks, I've got many, the Thoth deck is pretty much my pack of choice, and you'll see them a lot. This deck particularly came from a second-hand bookshop in Falmouth in Cornwall, and I picked them up, yeah, in about 2001. And they have been worn and used like a good pair of shoes, and I love them to bits, but I've had to replace them a couple of times. I've got more newer decks of these because I have replaced them quite a few times. And this is my favourite deck of cards. There's many decks I'll be talking about in this series. My leap into doing tarot reading professionally came in 2003. When I started learning, I signed up for a course. I went, right, I'm just going to do this. I really like the idea of learning tarot. I signed up for a course with someone who's now one of my best friends in the world, is the lovely Imbal. And I put a link to her YouTube channel because it's awesome, and she's an amazing reader. And she was running courses in London, and it was brilliant and amazing, and a really lovely revolutionary way of teaching the cards as well, which made it so understandable. Something that I've taken on in my teachings as well. And she is the lovely kind of lady that kicks you in the deep end. And straight after the course, she was like, do you want to do this show? Do you want to try this? So I did. I started doing professional readings. And I started working for Psychic TV, Psychic Interactive, or been many names over the years, in 2004. And this was just my leapfrog into working pretty much full-time using the tarot and doing readings for people. So I am really passionate about it, and it's strange really that I haven't done a video series about it before, but I guess like everything that you use every day, sometimes you have to take a step back to realise how important and how special it is. Because if you do something every day, sometimes it can become quite everyday. And how can a tarot become every day when it's so magical? Well, at this time now, and I'm kind of reflecting and looking at my path in life, I'm having a sort of a renaissance in my passion for learning more of the myths about the tarot, because it's a real mystery. There's going to be episodes on this show about the origins of the tarot and about how it's been used in the past. I'll also be going through the elements of the tarot to make it a lot more easy for you guys to understand. And how to do readings, how to ask questions, all these things will be introduced. But on this first episode, of course, apart from a teeny weeny background about how I'm here and doing this show, I wanted to look at how I read the cards. So it's a little snippet about how I work with the tarot and how I drink lots of tea. I do that quite a lot. So my love for the tarot is not particularly for saying this will definitely happen, or you know, do this or don't do that. I know the tarot has an amazing amount of bad James Bond style history on this means death, you're doomed, and this means lovers means you have to have sex with this person. That is really not my take on things. The tarot is deeply psychological, deeply personal, and can be an amazing tool for your own spiritual development, your own growth, and your own knowledge of your own soul, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, of course, it usually gets, you know, we all have those questions where we go, you know, will this happen? Will I get this job? Will I move house? And you know what? That's fine. Your life path soul is defined by the small things you do as well as the deeper things you do. But to learn about the tarot as a pathway of the soul, as a deep journey inwards as well as a deep journey outwards, which is like the journey of the Fool in the major arcana, which we'll be talking about. Plenty of things to talk about. Gosh, there's loads to talk about. I'm getting through a lot of tea. I would love to show you guys how I read and how I feel you can get the most out of tarot reading. I pulled a couple of cards. I've actually shuffled now, so that was really silly of me because I shuffled and I changed them. But I actually pulled a couple of cards from both decks. I've got the Witchcraft tarot deck as well here, also well used, also absolutely adored to pieces. I'll talk more about this, and I'll put some links at the bottom so you can get hold of these decks if you like them. The card I pulled, I will try and find it in the Thoth deck again, out of both decks for how I felt this show would go was a Two of Wands. Two of Wands here, and it's very Aries. I'm an Aries. It's very fiery. The person who is holding the camera is also an Aries, so two Aries, ruled by Mars. The two, lots of fiery energy was really, really positive, and I thought, okay, that's great, but also that can be quite, sometimes quite clashy, quite feisty. Sometimes it's about choices and growth and options, but not maybe so much about this calming that and balancing that. So I pulled another card as well, and I would love it to find it before the end of the show. I'm just having a little rifle down here for it. Always the last one to find the deck. That's the first lesson. If you're trying to find a card, it's always the last one in the deck. And the other card I pulled was the High Priestess, which were the two pillars behind her, also about two choices, but in a spiritual path as well. So there's the Two of Wands in the Thoth deck there, which I chose, which was the first one I chose for this journey. And there's the High Priestess as well, who's hiding, which is very High Priestess-like of her to hide. I'll find this, we'll do an episode on the High Priestess and we'll look at that a bit more in depth. So the High Priestess and the Two of Wands, they link very well together because the feisty doorway of the Two of Wands can be about activity, going for it, choices, growth, options. It's very fiery energy. The High Priestess also has two options. She has two pillars next to her. She's number two. She's in the middle of duality, but she brings a real spiritual knowledge to it. So I thought that was a really nice way. Maybe that was a lesson for me and how to approach this show as well, the series. But that was the first push forward that we have for the show, and that was the first cards I pulled for it. So therefore, that was quite a good thing for me to think about. So I will leave it here because I don't want to have too long shows. I want it to be quite bite-sized so you guys can dip in, dip out. If you would like to learn more about my readings, do follow the link to my website below. And the next little editions of the show will be about the origins of the tarot, and also starting to look at the elements of the tarot as well. Drink lots of tea, and I'll see you next time. Bye.